It's season 5 and we have arrived in Vienna for this year's Premier League Poker. Party Poker's Premier League Poker is back, coming to you from Montesino in the stunning city of music, Vienna, with the best lineup yet, all chasing a prize pool of over $2 million and the ultimate title in poker.
Even though the field is only 16 players, it's 16 super tough players. Everyone's reputation's on the line, and it'll be a challenge.
I have to pit myself against the competition, strong, weak, whatever. It's like those guys that see the mountains and they have to climb the mountains, you know?
This is a real opportunity to show that I am able to compete with these guys, and it would be a huge, huge accomplishment for me.
It's just an honor to have been invited to get to play to it. I'm just hoping that I can live up to that honor, to do well enough and hopefully win.
I excel when the stakes are high. I excel when the competition's tough. I like my chances going in. There's some great competition, but I think I'm ready for it, and I'm really excited to play.
I had a very disappointing Premier League 4, so I want to see if I can improve on my result this year.
I already have an EPT title, a WPT title, and the WSOP title, so now it's time for the Premier League 5.
Yeah, it would be brilliant to win Premier League 5. It'd be up there with my all-time best achievements.
The amount of money you can win is exciting, of course. To win it is alluring. It's exciting to play any prestigious event.
I've literally never not made a final table of a TV event. I've always come second, third, fourth, fifth. So if I could just get the first, it would slot it in nicely.
You learn a lot about yourself when you win big or when you lose big in those games. And I gotta prove that I belong here, I guess.
It's a sort of a personal challenge for me, you know, still trying to figure the game out, still trying to figure the players out. Every win means something.
This year I'm going to try to win. I'm going to go out there and just try to get all the chips.
I'm so excited. I want to jump. I want to shout. I want to scream. And this is my year to take it all. Take everything that I have here.
The cards are going to be flying off the table soon.
They're going to go nuts when they see this.
You could have outplayed me though.
I heard I'm not supposed to make friends.
Just have my blinds here, just take them.
This is the first time I've ever heard Tom Dwan be excited about the chance of folding.
I want to fold, but I just felt like I couldn't.
That's the way to do it.
It's really hard to fold the hand this good when you're eating chicken this delicious.
I'm basically out of the Premier League, down to my last animals.
I had the G on the ropes there, and you've just told me you had the nuts.
It's driving me crazy.
I got to deal with the stare down just to steal a freaking blind.
Ace King, you're good, you're good. You've got the best hand, whatever happens.
Oh, God, come on.
I mean, what the hell?
This is a standard fold. Phil has lost his mind.
I'm not getting any respect.
No, I'm going to be moving in every game.
We understand that you're not very good, but you're a nice guy.
Edgy. I feel people have been very rude at this table so far at this heat.
You are the best, OEG.
It's bike time.
Can you shut up for a bit, because I'm actually thinking.
Who knows what I think sometimes?
Curiosity's killing me.
Real nice.
Come on, let's see the river.
If you have aces right now, I'll never talk to you again.
Wow.
I want to go home. I want to go home. I want to go home.
I'm so angry at myself right now.
Let's shut him up.
Pair? Good news.
Do you want to swap hands?
Zasko smelled the rat.
I'm not going to listen to Tony anyway. He clearly has no idea what he's doing.
That's pretty cool.
Ooh. Oh, sweat. Yeah! What would you do here then, Tony?
Boom! Let's go! Yeah! Everyone's a winner.
Before the main event kicks off, it's the chance of a lifetime for 24 qualifiers to win a seat in the Premier League. And we've got 2 places in the main event up for grabs. There are 2 global qualifying events, each made up of 12 players from around the world. The qualifiers were divided into 2 groups of 6. The groups play 1 heat with the top 3 players going through to the final table. The last man standing on each global qualifier final table wins a place in the Premier League main event. Kicking off this year's global qualifying stage, it's Event 1, Group A. The players include Bartolomeu, Gomila, Bodo, Sbrzesny, Erich, Coleman, and online qualifiers Dmitry, Tretyakov, Mathew, Frankland, and Party Poker Premier League mixed game runner-up, Andrew Feldman. Heading into the first of the global qualifying heats, Andrew Feldman, looking forward to a chance to go all the way in this Premier League?
Yeah, definitely. I came in last minute. I was obviously very close to getting in against Andy Frankenberger in the last Premier League, so I'm really excited, and hopefully, yeah, I feel my chance is just as good as anyone, so we'll see what happens.
And Bodo is back. It's a second run at the Premier League for you. We saw you at the qualifying heats in Vegas. How are you feeling about this one?
It's a great tournament, very big one, and I hope I can make it to the final.
It's a pretty spectacular lineup for the main event as well. Getting through to that, I mean, what do you think of those guys?
Wow, just wow. It's crazy.
Maybe in Macau you can value bet pocket threes on flop and turn.
Normally, it's always bad news.
That's so weird. You're only showing aces.
Unlucky for me.
That's ridiculous.
And now it's time to get the first global qualifier underway. Let's head over to your hosts, Jessie May and Giovanni Rizo.
I am Jessie May, thrilled to be joined by Party Poker's Giovanni Rizo for event number 1 in the global qualifiers of Party Poker Premier League Poker 5. 6 players. We're going to be playing down to 3, and eyes will be on Andrew Feldman. He is the player at this table with the most TV poker experience and a runner-up in the recent mixed game Premier League Championship. But Giovanni, you know this man very well, Bodo Sbrzesny.
Hi Jesse, yeah, I do know this man very well. He's a great online player, fellow teammate of Party Poker, a lot of experience, and he has a lot of games under his belt as a sit-and-go player, so I see him well for the finals.
He also was a qualifier last year in Premier League Poker 4. As far as the local players go, Erich Kollmann there, one of the most iconic Austrian players. He's got results stretching back Austria and Europe to like 1996, so he's got experience.
Very experienced and very calm, you can see. He's very concentrated. I'm really curious to see this guy in action.
Have a look at the chips on the table. 300,000 per player. The yellow's worth 1,000 each. Blues are 2, reds 5K, and the green chips worth 10,000. Cards in the air. Now, Giovanni, you were yourself a qualifier, Premier League Poker 4 in Las Vegas. How are these guys feeling? It's like all or nothing.
It is, Jesse. It is. It's a great chance for some of these players, the qualifiers, but the pros too. It's a once-in-a-lifetime kind of chance, and it's a really particular structure. You do start with 150 big blinds, but they go up fast. We're playing 18 hands per level, so I mean, top 3 go to the final, and then it's a winner takes it all. It's interesting. You got to be aggressive, and these players are probably going to feel a little bit of pressure right at the start, but you know, once you get a hold of the chips, it's good old poker.
Tretyakov, Dmitry Tretyakov, the Russian, has raised the very first hand. He's a guy that no one seems to know anything about. His English isn't great. He's an online qualifier, but we do know that he had to come through a tough field to get here.
Yeah, qualifiers are definitely not to be underestimated. They play online a lot, of course, because you got to go through a bunch of steps to get here, and you know, the surprise factor is always a good factor, in my opinion. Maybe they're a little more nervous, but interesting thing here. There's a re-raise, there's a squeeze play by Andrew Feldman with Queen 4 hearts after Gomila just flat calls with the Ace-King. So now already interesting dynamics. We see a kind of a conservative approach from Gomila with the Ace-King, and Feldman tries to squeeze.
And the thing that's so special about this particular format, where you have to go down to 3 and then you get your chips forward, it dictates playing a little bit tight. With a hand like Ace-King, you don't just want to get all your chips in.
Not at the first level, for sure. The blinds go up pretty fast, so in a little bit it's going to be time to gamble, but you are right, definitely players are going to be playing a little bit tighter, hence the flat call from Gomila and then flat call again. It's going to be tough to play this hand out of position, especially against an aggressive opponent as Feldman, but we got to see a flop.
Right, now Feldman knows he's behind, but he just hopes that Gomila misses the flop, and that has not happened.
And now this is a really interesting flop because Gomila has underrepresented his hand so much and hitting the flop so hard. Feldman is definitely the kind of player that could, you know, maybe fire 2 or 3 barrel. If Gomila gives him a little bit of space to hang himself, this could be a really interesting hand already.
So if you're Gomila here, you're thinking there's not much value in check raising, or?
No value at all, in my opinion. The board is really dry, it's really hit and miss, and you are really underrepresenting your hand. Against an aggressive opponent like this, you can definitely see a lot of barrels. So flat calling, in my opinion, is the best option.
#1 call.
Yeah.
Well, this pot's already gotten quite large. Andrew has dug half a hole, and if he fires another bullet, he's drawing dead now. He knows he's gonna climb completely in. What do you think? Give up?
I think definitely, I would fire another bullet, but the board is so dry. Gomila always has some kind of ace. It just depends. The big problem with this hand is Feldman fires the turn. He might just, you know, go crazy and shove the river. Gomila is not supposed to have much here unless he's got a set of 9s. I don't think Feldman sees Gomila playing ace-king this way.
He thinks maybe it's ace-queen. At the most, could be ace-jack, ace-10.
Most, yes.
I can get him off those hands. Is that what we're talking about here?
It could be. It's really interesting because it's the first hand, but Feldman's not a shy guy, and there it goes. Second bullet, like I thought, and it's going to be interesting if now Gomila decides to raise. But it's still a really, really dry board, so 41K, that's a healthy bet, a little over half the pot.
And so much of this, you know, obviously, when we get down to the final table, the 3 go forward, it is winner take all there. But at this stage,
it's really not.
So, I mean, again, why does Gomila want to raise? He doesn't. He doesn't want to put all his chips in.
No, in theory, being the first hand, he's only going to get all the chips in if he's dead. If really Feldman coolered him with trip aces, kings, or 9s, or they're chopping with another ace-king, Feldman is not going to put all his chips in as a... Now, that's an interesting river, though.
Well, if Feldman, I mean, it's big, but if he puts the metal to the leather right now and just goes all in...
Yeah, that would be interesting right now.
Ace-king doesn't beat any value hands for an all-in here. Look at Feldman's face. He's thinking to himself, I just got here. What's happened to me? I've lost nearly a third of my stack.
Queens.
And it is up to Gomila to show first. He does. And you have to say, he played that hand pretty perfectly. He kind of max valued there. And Feldman's starting off in trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. He lost a big chunk of chips, and slow play by Gomila here, paid, and he didn't want to take a lot of risk on hand #1, and why do so with ace-king?
Pocket 3s in the first hand here.
I didn't have pocket 3s.
It's another game.
Is that what?
Here's another game. Maybe in Macau you can value bet pocket 3s on flop and turn if ace and king is on the board.
No, I didn't have pocket 3s. I didn't have pocket 3s at hand.
You mentioned, Giovanni, that this is very similar to a sit-and-go format. It's actually quite specific. There's a format played online called a double or nothing format.
Yes.
Where half the players win and half the players lose. And that seems a little bit like what this... have you played that format before?
I did. I go a little crazy on those because you got to be really patient, and that's not my nature as a player. But yeah, definitely a double or nothing here. Top 3 pass, 50% of the field. It does change the dynamics a lot.
3 players.
The slight wrinkle in this format, of course, is that the players carry their chips forward to the final table, at which point it will be a winner-take-all for that 125,000 seat. And have a look at Frankland here, who's played his 8s very quietly, has now flopped a set.
Yeah, not much going on for the rest of the guys, though, but big hand for Frankland.
And as far as we said about this particular format, it dictates you play conservatively, maybe more than any other poker format. I mean, even here, Frankland doesn't want to go crazy because of the straight on board.
Yeah, absolutely. And the fact that you are carrying the chips to the next level does change the dynamics again a little bit. It's not exactly a double or nothing sit and go. But then again, it's such a scary board right here. Trip 8s might not be the best hand. And level #1, he's not going broke with it. And I like that.
And I think what you're going to see a lot of from the better players here is a lot of check and call with big hands. We saw it with Gomila earlier. We're seeing it with Frankland now. Gomila's got some extra chips. He's out to the races. Does Frankland now have a big enough hand to want to get?
Yeah, now he does. Now he does. I mean, you beat by 9s and 10s and the unlikely deuces, but actually I like what he's doing right now. He's going to lead, I think, for half pot. He doesn't want to lose value. Just in case something like jacks or queens decide to check back. I don't think that jacks or queens would check back, but just in case. It's also I like this bet a lot. 23K, it's a third of the pot. It might induce a bluff from something that missed some, not an ace queen with the ace of spades or something that missed the river.
Yeah, and if you're Gomila, you're sitting there. What does this guy have?
Yeah, what's he representing really?
Is it a defensive bet? Is he trying to? Is he got like 10 jack, 10 queen, and not trying to? And can I get him off it? Couldn't you be thinking that if you're Gomila here?
Yes, definitely. You could also think that ace high is just the best hand and pay it off with 23K because something like king jack with the king of spades, ace jack with the ace of spades, something that peeled the flop and then went on a combo draw on the turn. Sometimes you pay with ace high there. I make that fishy call a lot. Most of the time the guy's showing the nuts, but what do I know? I want to see the cards.
Frankland does take that down. He'll be feeling good, and he joins Gomila as being an early leader.
Yeah, 33K at this stage won't change that much, but again, for the confidence level and just having a good start, it's important.
What, dollar? US dollars?
Yeah.
Some, like maybe, usually like 100, 200. But it's all in Hong Kong.
I think, Giovanni, when you kind of, in your mind, you say, how are these things going to go before, it's the first time we've seen this exact format in the Premier League. You kind of think it's just going to be a bunch of guys folding for the first 4 levels. But it's not, because you have to get out there and try and do something.
Yeah, the more I see this and the more, images from 2 years ago in Vegas come back to my mind. And yeah, you kind of think I'm going to play tight, I'm going to wait it out, but not really. It is really, to the core of it, a winner takes it all. And all we're aiming for here is that one seed and that one chance to play against the very best in a very exciting format, I think.
Well, one trend we've seen so far, both Frankland and Gomila, they're looking to play quite tight pre-flop and not put too many chips in the pot.
Absolutely. I mean, one way or the other, they're both really good approach. I'm curious to see what Frankland does here.
The well-known people have VIP seats. Yeah. So they get, there's like 2 or 3 seats guaranteed. They turn up and they're guaranteed. Yeah. Like you say, to encourage action.
Dynamics already are starting to form. Now see, on a board like this, the guy has squeezed already twice. 8s are looking good, even though it's, the 7-7-9 board could be an interesting one. The pot is pretty big already, 41K. I like Tretyakov re-raise size pre-flop.
And Frankland has a very tough decision coming up. I mean, tell me what should he be thinking right now?
Yeah, that's a snap call right there, and that doesn't go well for Frankland because unless something really scary, that's a pretty scary card on the turn for both players. So it might slow down the action for both of them, because now Tretyakov's got to think, what is Frankland calling me with? He could have flattered me with pseudo connectors, 6-7 spades, or diamonds got there. Nines are always option. That's a really bad card for Tretyakov. I'm curious here to see if Frankland decides to bet, but no.
Tretyakov has bet, and Frankland throws away the straight flush draw. That takes some discipline on my book.
Wow. Well, that's a really good bet by Tretyakov. No fear there, and he just decided, I want to find out now where I'm at, because sometimes it's tricky. You check call the turn, then the deuce of spade comes on the river. The guy fires 85K into the pot, and what do you do with kings now? You have no idea. So sometimes it is better to just pull out a bet, and if the guy is raising you big, you can let it go.
The Russian Dmitry Tretyakov now takes the lead. And you mentioned the guessing game before. The guessing game is still on. He hasn't turned his cards over. He hasn't spoken a word at this table. They don't know what to make of the big guy. Andrew Feldman, a very experienced player, both in the high-stakes poker world, on televised poker. This is going to be an interesting challenge for him.
Yeah, now he's got a legitimate hand, 10 queen of diamonds. It's been opened by Bodo. And see again, Bodo being an online player, a lot of experience. He's min-raising, you know, just 2 times the big blind. Most of the other guys are doing it like 2.5x or 3x. He keeps the pot small at the beginning.
Wow. That's the exact same flop that
That's
we last played.
I mean, I know it sounds strange, but that's a pretty good flop for freeze. Nobody re-raised. There shouldn't be a lot of kings out there. There is, in fact, but Coleman checks. I think Bodo is gonna fire a c-bet here.
Do check.
Really
it's been
dry.
checked around, yeah.
Yeah, really dry flop. Oh,
maybe.
Check, check, check.
Maybe it
All right.
was.
Bodo obviously not interested at all in trying to win pots in the first level, or bluff pots in the first level, it seems like.
Yeah, although it's a really dry flop. If he's given up here, I think. There's no way he's, yeah. Little pause.
So you don't
yeah,
have pocket
he's given
fives,
up.
and I don't have king queen.
That's fine,
obviously.
too. It's a small pot. It's the first level.
But not king queen.
And Coleman takes
so
it down.
weird. It's the last exact same flop we played. And it was same position. You raise hijack, I call cutoff.
You know, you just can't talk about a lineup in poker these days that can match what we've got for the Premier League this year. Seidel, Antonius, Tom Dwan. It's big.
It's so big. It's huge. The lineup at the Premier League, it's the best the world can offer in poker right now. And the playoffs lineup is, I mean, it's crazy. It's you got Bodo, Feldman, you got Dwyer, that's, you know, running super hot right now.
Some online monsters, like this Ben Woznovsky.
Wow, Ben Wilonowski never scared B. He's my favorite online player. And he's a qualifier. I mean, that just says something about the quality of these playoffs. It's pretty amazing.
Raise to 5,000. Call. Heads up.
This is the first pot Tretyakov has played where he hasn't been the aggressor. And, oh, this is so bad. Oh, we almost feel sorry for Andrew Feldman here. The best hand he's picked up, small blind, big blind, and Tretyakov's got him trussed up like a turkey.
Yeah, in the blind versus blind dynamic, and with a guy like Tretyakov, if he raises here, Feldman's gonna lose a big one.
Yeah, little does he know, though.
Yeah, of course.
But had he raised there, Feldman would just had to just go with it.
I'm not sure if he would go completely broke on it, but definitely lost a lot. Not on that turn. Not on that turn.
Maybe a good card for Feldman. It's going to be hard for him to go broke now, but in his mind, how should he play it? How do you deal with this Russian?
I think it's definitely a check call situation. You keep in the small pairs and the flush draws, and you minimize your losses if the guy's got a 10.
So there's definitely some warning bells off now, going off in Feldman's ears.
Yeah, not only that, you know, you extract a lot of value from random floats, like the guy's floating you with anything really, overcards and flash draws and small pairs. It's easier from the commentary booth, of course, but yeah, I like a bet there for a number of reasons, because Feldman could, since, you know, he's a tricky player, he could try to check raise you. Check raise you as a bluff. He could have a king there. He could have a flush draw that, you know, you just want to inflate the pot. You make sure that you get an extra bet on the river probably, but I don't know. Is it worth it to make sure you get 15K more, or should you try to build like a 100K pot? You know.
Tretyakov having a think about this. It's either raise or call.
I think it's just a call.
He's chosen the call. The 9 made the flush, and. That's the bad news. Andrew Feldman's slide continues. He's thinking to himself, boy, the jack's against the jack 10. Stuffed.
Yeah, tough break there for Feldman.
And for Dmitry Tretyakov, all going well.
He's chipping up. 400K almost for Dmitry.
Wow. I mean, the poker gods just love me, don't they?
Blinds will go up now to 2 and 4,000. Just changes the pot size pre-flop. It also changes the average number of big blinds on the table, but does it change Bodo's mindset of super tight yet?
I mean, Bodo is not a super tight player. He just knows very well. You're going to see him open more and more and more, and he just really knows what the shove and reshove ranges are. So I think his best game is going to come at level 5, 6, and 7, where his ranges are going to be close to perfect. And that's probably the most important part of this sit and go, where knowing where to reshove when everybody's got an average of something like 20 big blinds, picking up those extra 4, 5, 6 blinds that are in the middle is going to be so important, so vital.
No, I'm not stupid.
Now this is going to be a real test for Coleman, isn't it?
That'd have been a good
yes.
your last
Although, I mean,
4, check.
I'm curious to see how Bodo plays
last
this.
hand, I would have top set.
It's perfect for Bodo. This is exactly what you want. You want the 2-pair against the other ace.
Yeah, and for the little I get from Coleman, I don't think he's one to let go hands. So I see check call and maybe pay off at least 2 streets.
You wanted to
I don't like the speech from Bodo much there when he said, like, if it was last hand, I'd have top set. Oh, wow, that's a nice card for Bodo. And, I mean...
And for Coleman, it gives him some outs.
Yeah, and for Coleman, yeah.
Therefore, checks.
Obviously, he's got the gut shot and the flush draw now, and you want to see a big bet from Bodo here, I think. Something around 25, 28. Just try to go for max value. There's a bunch of draws out there, and ace is never folding to a second barrel, so...
No, and from Bodo's point of view, Coleman could easily have a big ace here. I mean, it's ace, queen, ace, jack a lot of times, so he's just going to go for it.
Yeah, there it is, 25K, substantial bet.
And you kind of feel bad for Coleman. We could be seeing a big move of chips. Of course, if the spade comes on the river, they're going to move the other way.
Yeah, I think right now, Kollmann best line is to just call for a number of reasons. First of all, he might already have the best hand, and I don't think Bodo's the kind of player that fires free barrels. He's got a bunch of equity in the pot, but if all the chips go in the middle right now, Bodo's always having the best hand. So, yeah, just check call and reevaluate the river.
This is a big river card. Coleman needs the 4. He needs the spade.
Whoa.
He hit it.
Wow, wow. It's the 4 of hearts, so I don't think... If Coleman checks, I don't think Bodo's actually... I mean, he might, though. He might bet the river. It's a tough spot. Maybe a little defensive bet by Coleman here. Something like 40K, just to make sure to extract value.
You know, both these guys, they're the same right now. They're a little happy and a little scared. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there he goes.
Coleman's a little happier.
There he goes, almost 40K. I like this. Little lead just to make sure that he's not missing a street of value. And kind of a defensive bet if Bodo has the flush.
Bodo's problem right now, I'm guessing, is that
he's bluff catching.
Okay. He actually doesn't beat any value hands. And Coleman, would Coleman ever make this bet with 1 pair of aces?
No, no. The only value hand he's betting, but he's beating, and I don't think Coleman is going to value bet that is the ace-4, ace-3 kind of hand. But yeah, really his hand is a bluff catcher. Bodo's, he can let it go. He's that, I mean, yeah. Yeah, there you go. I mean, it's impressive, but if you really analyze the hand, it's easier from here, obviously, but he's taking his time. The more he thinks about it and the bet size, it just really all leads to a fold. It's just tough because sometimes you're just thinking, you know what, I got 2 pair, whatever. 35K in.
Yeah, so I mean, you start to, like, Bodo right now is going through the list of hands he can beat.
Nice fold, nice fold.
What a great pass, Bodo.
Nice fold, good job, buddy.
And it's folds like that are so important in this format especially. You need those chips. You have to survive. But for Erich Coleman, the good river card has not only made him survive, but back above level.
It's a nice hand for the commentary.
Yeah?
They can think about it a lot.
Normally, it's always bad news.
He spends most of his time these days, Bodo. I mean, he still plays quite a bit, of course, online, but he's a real teacher. He's got a lot of students. He told me he's got about 150 students on the roster now.
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll all be quite proud of the way he plays.
He's an amazing coach, I hear. One of the best out there. Very, very dedicated guy. He told me when he was in Australia, he had people to coach, so he would fall asleep for 3 hours and then coach people and then sleep another 3 hours and then coach other people to get all the timelines in the world, because that's how many students he's got. So, I mean, very dedicated.
Calls 4,000.
Coleman limping. This is the second time we've seen Erich Coleman limping in from the button.
Hands up.
And we saw once he does limp in from the button, he's not going to try and steal the pot. But maybe this is what he had in mind.
This is so strange. Yeah, I'm not really understanding this strategy by Coleman. It's definitely different.
Yeah.
It might work.
We perhaps break off the,
but it feels, Giovanni, like when you do something like that, I don't want to say you're asking for trouble, but you're asking that sometimes you're going to end up playing a big pot, which you don't really want to play big pots with kind of marginal hands.
Definitely not. I agree with you. I like defining my hand better. I min-raise the button, for example. I do it 2.5x from other position, but I min-raise the button. You got to give yourself a chance to win the pot without a showdown, first of all, and also understand where you're standing at. Because what happens if Bodo starts picking up on this tendency, and he will, and now he starts raising every time you limp? How do you define your queen 7?
But in Coleman's defense, what you are hoping is that somebody gives you action with the second best hand, which is exactly what's happened right now.
Yeah.
Although I don't want to say either one of these are loving it.
But see now, I mean, obviously that's a nice river, and I don't think Bodo's paying again. You're winning really small pots, and you might get yourself in trouble when you know the Jack 5 flops some random really big stuff. I don't know. It's a strange strategy here. Long pause before the bet. That's that's really strong.
The wheels are turning.
Yeah. Look at this snap fold. Look at this snap fold. Maybe not. I like that by Bodo, the fact that he always, I should learn a lot from this guy, that he always thinks about all the possibility, takes his time, there's no rush.
There were so few reasons to call there. He's smiling there.
Yeah, it was a snap fold. It was.
But do you know how it happens sometimes, Giovanni, when you've made a big fold against a player?
You kind of want to see it.
The next time, the next time he play a hand, you make a bad call.
Yeah.
You made a good fold. Now you make a bad call. It's just once that can of worms gets opened.
Done that very many times.
This particular global qualifier, this event #1, it's really going to be 2 tournaments in one. That's what we're watching here tonight, because there's everything that gets us down to 4 players, and then the bubble is just something in itself. The bubble, we don't even know how long the bubble could go on.
Yeah, I'm really curious.
And bubble play is, you know, is some of the most exciting stuff there is, and tension-filled.
I absolutely agree with you, and the blinds are going to go up fast, so 4-handed play with the bubble, that's going to be something interesting. Again, not something you usually see on TV. It's going to create a lot of interesting dynamic, and I think for the viewers at home, it's going to be a good chance to, you know, catch a glimpse of what some of the best players are thinking in that kind of situation. Abusing the bubble, depending what kind of stack you have and what's your ultimate goal.
And I'm sure, you know, we talked before, why is Feldman playing so fast? Why is he coming out of the trap so fast? It's because he's thought of that ahead. There is not going to be an advantage as big as having a big chip lead on this bubble, because you can go through. There's 1.8 million chips in play here. You can go through with 1 million if you play your cards right.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Because people are going to feel the pressure of the bubble no matter what, even though it's a winner takes all. So, yes, absolutely.
go through with 1.5 perhaps.
If you really abuse the bubble, and there are a couple of players at this table that could, yes, it's definitely a possibility.
We'll obviously get a chance to talk about all that as it arises. Right now, Feldman, who's, well, he hasn't flopped the better hand, but he certainly flopped a reason to keep on betting.
I mean, he flopped the nuts, actually.
Oh, excuse me, you're right. You're absolutely right. What was I looking at? Wow.
13K bet on a 20K pot. Now, Coleman's thinking, is my 10 good? He's got a backdoor flush draw with the ace of hearts, so he's got that as a blocker. And I mean, it's Feldman, so there you go. That's an interesting card.
Well, this had been just what the doctor ordered for Feldman. You know, flop the nuts and catch a guy with half a hand. Now for Coleman, he's actually himself drawing to the nuts.
Yes, yes, and it's a really, really bad card for Feldman. Not only does he lose to flush draws now, he's chopping with a lot of stuff. That definitely is in Coleman's range. You know, the 9-10, the Jack-9, they're all chopping with him now.
And his straight is just not well disguised.
Yeah. So I mean, now that that's a good card for him. That's a good card. Kollmann should not have a lot of two pairs in his range. He might play those a little bit faster, so I don't think he's concerned by a full house Feldman here. So probably a little value bet here, something in the zone of like 20, 25, a little less than half the pot. And Kollmann might call. I mean, again, you got to think, what do I really beat with my trip 10s? Because it is, again, just a bluff catcher in a way.
Or the way Feldman's played this hand, raise on the button. He's raised every button. Bet the flop, which he was always going to do. This could be a bluff, couldn't it?
Yeah, sometimes it can be a bluff. I really like the sizing here, 24 exactly. Little less than half the pot. It's a really nice bet.
I don't see how you can fold this. What do you think? Is there?
I see what you're saying, absolutely. And the pot is giving him 3-1. And you know, as strange as it might sound, what you just said is absolutely right. He's got 330 in there, and he's thinking, well, I call him back to even. It's just a psychological thing, but sometimes makes a difference between a call and a fold.
That's good, says the Austrian. And for Feldman, first pot of size he's won in a while. And back on the horse again.
Join us after the break as the first of the global qualifying heats continues.
Welcome back. Still a full table of 6 here in this Party Poker Premier League Poker 5 qualifier. The format of this global qualifier calls for 18 hands a level. And, of course, the players, when we get down to 3, will take their chips forward for a final table. And that winner-take-all seat worth over $100,000. It's massive. Mathew Frankland now facing the Andrew Feldman under the gun raise. It's a pretty good hand from Andrew Feldman, but Mathew's not wrong in thinking that Andrew's raising about 80% of his hands from this position. That's the indication we've seen.
23,000.
And again, I like the free bet here a lot.
23.
You don't want to call with a marginal hand like the King 5 of spades. You read him free betting or folding, especially in position on the button.
This is a really big decision for Feldman because he can only play further if it is what he thinks it might be, and that's exactly what it is, a light 3-bet.
Yes, and as Bodo, also Feldman, probably more than anybody else, has the light 4-bet here. You know, and he's still got a stack that definitely allows him to 4-bet fold the ace-10. I definitely don't think he's ready to gamble with the ace-10, but something like 47, 48K right now, to fold to an eventual shove. Frankland, I don't think Frankland's ever flatting the 4-bet, so the fold is still fine. I mean, Feldman can just let it go, but
maybe this is what he was trying to set up. I believe he's just called.
That's ugly.
And ugly why?
It's ugly because ace-10 is an easily dominated hand, and because you're playing out of position against a really good player as Franklin is. I mean, your hand, well, I mean, yeah, that helps, but still, I really don't like the call there. Because what if Franklin has queens now?
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, Feldman can't really, you can't call, hit that flop, and not be prepared to go broke, can you?
Absolutely, absolutely.
And you have to go broke checking and calling.
Absolutely, which is, again, super ugly. It's like...
Because think about how this pot escalates. Feldman, right, he's only got about 180 in front of him. It's 20 now. It's about 50 next time. It's all in on the river.
Yeah, how about if Franklin just goes bet, bet, shove here? What are you doing? Even if it falls like a deuce on the turn and a 7 on the river, now what? I mean, he can very well have kings here.
Wow, do you think Franklin can still win this
No,
pot?
I do not, because the 7, well, I mean, he flatted, so all those cards are definitely in his range. You know, those middle-ish, connector-ish, pair-ish kind of crap on the turn. It's just, yeah, he gives up. It's a really bad turn too. A lot of stuff hits on the turn. And now that's an ugly card for Franklin, because if Feldman decides to check, as he does, and I like this check on the river, Franklin can easily try to represent the ace of
He's
swords.
obligated to.
Yeah, he kind of is. So that's a really unfortunate river.
And Andrew Franklin, everything had been going well.
55.
Andrew Feldman is now going to snap a Dido here.
Snap a Dado. Yeah, he is going to snap call. 34K. He might even raise to such a small bet. There's not a much value into raising that river, but, you know, Franklin looks like an ace-king, ace-queen kind of hand.
Andrew looks like he just got his dinner taken away from him.
Yeah.
Just been told to go to his room.
He's like,
what a poker face he's got. He looks crushed. You'd swear for all the world like he had 2 jacks, and the ace has now just destroyed his life.
I think he's kind of upset by the size of the bet that Franklin, again, I really like Franklin play all the way, even though he's going to lose this pot, because how do you raise that bet? It really looks like it wants a raise. So he wants to extract more from his 2-pair. And see, again, that's the problem. You got super lucky. The board ran out perfectly. You're going to win a big one, but not a huge one.
Well, he seems to know exactly where he's at.
Yeah.
6 and 5 folds.
Oh, Andrew Feldman, he looked like the guy who couldn't do, and in fact, he's a little engine who could. Two levels in the book, Giovanni, and have a look at the numbers here. Bodo Sbrzesny's definitely upped his V-chip percentage, playing more hands. All of a sudden, Tretyakov's the tightest guy at the table. The Premier League players are all starting to arrive in Vienna. We go over to Kara Scott, who has tracked down Phil Locke.
I managed to catch up with Phil here in the bar before we start playing, and this is Premier League main event season 5. We saw you in season 4 just storming through the tables. How are you feeling now?
Yeah, storming through and then like folding 3 of a kind towards the end there like a donkey.
Don't hurt me, please don't hurt me. I'm running too good. Phil Locke is a man governed by 3 simple tenets: fun, freedom, and fulfillment.
We could have danced a little dance. A little dance, a little Saturday Night Live.
I recently was bit by a vampire, and now I have vampire read-like ability. So no sense in trying to bluff me. I'm just going to go into your cranium, make a soul read, come out, know exactly what to do.
Day in the life of Phil Locke.
Put me on the bike, don't put me on the bike. Oh my lord, this is so sick.
If Phil Locke blows up, that'll make the cut.
I'm the worst. Wow, if I win this thing, it'll be so fat.
I'll go home and I'll smile. I tell you, I honestly will. That's what the game is selling, right? We're selling hope. Isn't that what it is? I love the table lineup. Wow, we have a chat. I think it might be hard to get a word in edgewise.
Well, Luke Schwartz is going to be at the table as well, I think, in your heat. So there's bound to be a little bit there. You guys actually get on quite well, though.
I love that kid. I mean, even though he like can't help himself but get into trouble and just be like generally ridiculous sometimes, he is funny and he's got heart and he's an honest, straight shooting kid. I don't know why he doesn't like my nickname for him, Luke Bubblegum Schwartz. You know, I asked him, I said, bro, if you want, I'll give up, I'll kill it with the bubblegum stuff. And he didn't say either thing. So silence is kind of a form of consent a little bit. He didn't say no, so.
Yeah, I'm thinking he actually likes it deep down inside.
Deep down, and peel away all the onion cores. There he is, a happy little chew, because he loves to chew the bubblegum, you know?
It's bubblegum Schwartz. You're supposed to be chewing gum.
Well, you were really feeling it last season, too. I remember talking to you, and you were, like, really feeling in the zone.
I knew that, well, last year I had an advantage because I knew that no one was going to think I would be like a bulldozing, bluffing banana head, which is great. If they all know that you're not going to be that guy, then you can be that guy. And I can feel it. No one thought I would be like that guy. So
Are you feeling it this year?
No, this year I'm feeling like more in my shell. I'm more careful because they know, they've seen the malarkey that I was up to. So now I think a little more ABC is going to be called for.
Phil's got his moves and his angles. That's going to help him a little bit, but I think most people have clocked onto him. He might be able to get away with that stuff to like Frankland or someone, but he's definitely not one of the favorites.
He's got this crazy image, but at his core, he's a smart, tight player.
I think sometimes you'll see Phil Lack do some pretty crazy things.
We're looking forward to seeing you pushing some windows if the situation calls for it, so good luck out there.
Thanks so much, Kara Scott.
Thank you.
3 players going through to the final table from these 6. They're going to take their chips when we reach the final 3 forward, Giovanni, and then play a winner-take-all, 1 seat in the main Premier League available, worth over $125,000. And I don't recall a format like this ever taking place. It's almost like make up your own strategy.
It's the show in poker, I think, the Premier League. With the whole playoff build-up, I like that a lot. The fact that there's already those superstars waiting for the big Premier League, and you know, this builds you it, all these guys. Me first, I'm really dreaming. I really want to be there. It's just so exciting, and
yeah, but you know, there's so many TV poker shows, but you could just see by the buzz before this thing started. This one is so special for people. This is if you want to have a one time, you know, if you want to be a qualifier, if you want to come through, these guys, this means a lot more than the money. Well, with the blinds 3 and 6,000 now, Frankland, who's on the short stack, you know, he's dealing with about 35 to 40 big blinds. It's a bit of a tough stack for him to deal with right now.
Yeah, I think the 30 big blind stack is the toughest one for every player to figure out, because, I mean, you kind of want to go broke with certain hands, but you really don't want to, so it puts you in kind of tough spots. You can't flat that much. You don't have a lot of space to free bet or 4-bet fold, so I mean, it starts to be the kind of stack that you're gonna play pre-flop more. Not shove time at all yet, but you know, it's getting there.
Gomila's check called here with the ace-jack after flatting pre-flop, and you can really only do that, Giovanni, if you're saying, look, the guy's just gonna give up on the turn.
Pretty much, yes, and especially because Gomila is out of position. You know, a float in position makes a lot of sense because you can take it away a lot of the times when the guy gives up the turn, but out of position is rough.
One check.
And, well, if Gomila... he's read his man right.
Yeah, Gomila's lucky here because Frankland does have showdown value, so I think he might check. No, wow. This is going to be nice.
This is kind of under the heading of don't think you just hit a card that means you don't have to bluff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're exactly right. I like this player a lot, this Frankland. I like the sizing. Wow, it's perfect. He's almost potting this. It looks like he picked up some sort of draw on the turn, some flush draw maybe, and now he's bumping the river. He took the free card, and now he's bumping the river.
Wow.
If Gomila calls his, wow.
Well, there's this idea of a polarized bet, and this is a polarized bet.
Yes, 100%.
In a sense, because Frankland can't really bet here with what? With less than a straight, can he bet?
No.
He has to have a straight, a flush.
I mean, some sets and two pairs, but two pairs, what kind of two pairs does he have there that doesn't bet the turn? That doesn't make any sense. So, yeah.
Doesn't Gomila also have a problem that Frankland could be like bluffing here with a pair?
That's the, yeah, well, yeah, anyway, nicely done by both players.
Yeah.
I think that comes into consideration too, you know. Sometimes you think, well, what if I call here and the guy shows me deuces? I feel like an idiot because I did the right call. I knew he was weak, but not weak enough.
Well, Mathew Frankland wins a pot there, the kind of pot where his opponent, Amethyst Gomila, is going to have to say to himself, I can't play that guy that way. If you give a guy a chance to beat you and he beats you, you're going to have to stop playing him that way, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I do it. And definitely people should stay away from this Mathew Frankland. I don't know, I'm really liking this play style.
Feels like this is going to be a decisive level, this 3 and 6,000. Already seen a bunch of action. And Gomila, who, after winning that very first pot, the very first hand, must have thought this was going to be a Sunday walk in the park, now finds himself back to level.
Yeah, it's really a game of sudden changes now. The 3-6 level is the level where relative stack sizes decrease a lot. So you're in that 30 big blind stage, as you were saying before. Really tough to play, and 2 hands, you're out. I mean, it is the toughest level probably. They're all going to be tough from now on, but this is the one that really changes things.
What do you think about Andrew Feldman's call on the button with the ace-jack, just versus his other options?
I like that a lot, actually. The ace-jack in position now, it's different because ace-jack out of position, really tough to play. In position, you're keeping in all the hands that you beat, the ace-10s, the ace-x suited. You're not inflating the pot, and you're not getting blown off your hand, you know. You're not getting 4-bet, and you don't have to fold that. I like Gomila's jack here. Yeah, he hit top pair, but it's kind of an ugly river, and definitely an ugly turn there.
Feldman has now hit the straight. It's gone perfect. And you kind of feel for Gomila after everything went so well. Now he's getting a bit of a rusty nail.
15.
He's definitely not going to fold here. But a jack, all those hands, I was saying, I said an ugly river first, but no, it's an ugly flop, obviously. All those middle-ish cards are so much in Andrew Feldman range, you know, the 9-10, the 10-jack, the king-jack. They all hit the flop pretty hard. And I'm not sure Gomila is gonna or should call a river bet from Feldman here, if it's substantial.
He's thinking to himself right now, Gomila, you know, this is all of the sudden the second or third tough river decision I've faced. This is...
Yeah, good fold, good fold, good
fold. That one completely right.
I mean, is Andrew Feldman ever bluffing here in both streets? I mean, on the turn, obviously, he's going to try to take it down no matter what, because it's such an ugly card for his opponent's range. But after betting the turn and getting called, I don't think he's ever bluffing that river. So, good fold, but not as tough as it seems.
These guys are good. And Andrew Feldman on the good side of 300K.
Yeah, look how things change.
This game is certainly going to be about what have you done for me lately, isn't it? It's the guys on top you have to think are favorites. Still, everyone has maintained, no one has gone under, far under 200,000 or really above 400,000. It's going to be that first big lead, that first knockout. That's really going to send the game into sort of the second stage, Giovanni.
Yeah, I do believe so. I mean, player dropping out, it's going to change the table dynamics a lot. And just the psychological factor of, you know, I'm not the first one down, that will open up things a little bit. I mean, you shouldn't as a professional, but you do have that in the back of your mind a little bit. And yeah, once the first one's out, things are going to speed up a lot.
So you prefer to call it?
You can't blame Frankland for calling here. You can't really blame him for not re-raising either. Tretyakov still a bit of a mystery.
Yeah, it's the same. I mean, King, Queen, and Ace, Jack there are pretty much the same thing. You're flatting with those in position against a dangerous opponent. You can do all sorts of good.
3 check.
Actually, sorry, it's not in
A
position.
big blind for
Yeah.
Frankland and the button raise for Tretyakov,
And
who
look at
has hit gin. Absolute gin. How much trouble is Frankland in right now?
A lot. A lot. 5 should not be in his opponent's range. And
Is it too results oriented to say he should have re-raised pre-flop?
yeah, it is. It definitely is. I mean,
he's just about to get stuffed, isn't he?
I really don't like the smooth call here.
Too many draws out there, too many dangerous river cards.
Not only that, he should not have a 5 in his range. So his hand is really well, I mean, obviously as a 9-5 should be, it's really well disguised. It's a sweet river though, so if Franklin bets again here, I think Tretyakov can definitely and safely raise. And he might get a call from Franklin.
I'll tell you one thing Franklin doesn't expect right now. He does not expect to get raised.
No.
His jaw is going to hit the table. We're going to see how quickly he gets surprised. Right now he's praying for a call. Call me.
Yes,
Call me.
Yes. And both guys have in their head that the other guy must have some kind of busted flush draw, straight draw sort. There should not be 5s in Tretyakov range. I mean,
we'll see how good Franklin's poker face is when he gets raised here.
Yeah, I'm curious.
Because you know what thought's going to be going through his head.
He should make it big also, I think, Tretyakov. Make it really big.
There's another thing about Tretyakov, isn't there, Giovanni, which is that nobody's really, he's still a mystery. So you're kind of suspicious of him. Well, Franklin wasn't. Franklin just gave that up straight away. And I believe that Tretyakov minimum raised that.
Wow. I mean, the min raise, it's pretty sick. It's usually really the nuts. And but again, just a snap fold there, that's impressive.
And for Tretyakov, that's the biggest chip stack anybody's had so far. Not just that, but everybody at that table, Giovanni, is saying to themselves, I want to know what that guy's playing with. I want to know what that guy has.
More from this Party Poker Premier League Global Qualifier after the break. Welcome back to Party Poker Premier League Poker 5. 24 qualifiers are attempting to win a place in the Premier League lineup, and the first global qualifier is well underway here in Vienna.
Been doing a lot of traveling lately, Andrew Feldman. You can see by his tan. Spent quite a bit of time in Macau playing the cash games down there.
Yeah, I hear the action is pretty crazy in Macau. The center of the gambling universe might be shifting, I think.
Well, for the next couple weeks, and for the entirety of this Premier League poker, to me, the center of the gambling world is going to be here in Vienna.
Oh, for
Montesino
sure.
Casino.
I mean, this is going to be the European festival of the year, and there's no doubt in my mind about that. The location is amazing. They did a great job with the whole setup. It's really comfortable here. You know, you can be outside. Vienna's, of course, is beautiful, and you got the Premier League, you got the big game, you got the WPT. For pros traveling the circuit, I think it's more and more important to go places where you're taken care of, really welcome, and where you can stay. You can actually make yourself at home, play different events, a lot of events, and just make the most out of your time. So I agree with you 100%. This is going to be the festival of the year.
Well, a nice flop for Mathew Frankland. The question is, how nice? He's called the undergun raise from the small blind. Very hard hand at this stage to do anything with but check and call.
Again, tough spots for Gomila. He kind of puts himself into these spots by flat calling with.
He just wants to hit the turn.
Yeah.
And he hasn't.
5 check, 1 check.
Check, check, and
that was good news for Frankland. And
now he's confident. Again, I think he's going to do something like 35K.
5 bet, 17.
If not for
very small, nice bet.
Almost like he knows exactly what he's trying to get called by.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, this will be a nice pot, if not for Franklin's confidence, certainly for his chip stack. Every chip counts right now. And he's back above the 200K mark. All these players, from my mind, doing a great job to survive this far, but won't get you any prizes. I wonder at this table who is going to be that person. The person who, as the blinds get up, and now we're talking about 20, 23 big blinds, is the most comfortable. Is like, now we're in my home zone. I don't think it's Feldman.
Bodo, I think definitely. From my experience point of view, I've seen him play, and I played with him a lot of times, and he is just very mathematical, very analytical, and he knows exactly what he's supposed to be doing. Then again, if you get cooler, you know.
I don't think Gomila's body language right now, it suggests a little frustration to me. He's, obviously he was delighted with having about 420,000 after the first hand. It's not happening right now for him.
Yeah, it's just a lot of really strange marginal spots that didn't go his way, you know. He could have easily won a nice one and just stayed in the lead. It's been a rough ride so far.
Starting to think to myself, you know, Feldman's got a really good seat at this table. You probably perceive that Tretyakov and Coleman are the two tightest guys, and that's why Feldman is just raising like crazy when he's in late position.
Yeah, at the same time though, he's got Tretyakov out of position. So I mean, it's a good seat. It's not. I'm not sure who's got the best seat right now. I kind of like Frankland's seat actually. Because Gomila seems to be a pretty easy blind to steal. It's going to be more and more important later on.
Well, Feldman, to me, has one slight problem, which is that if he has to show down this hand, they're going to be, you know, it's a pretty, there is a thing about, you know, trying to keep people thinking that you're kind of raising with cards that have some sort of relationship to each other.
I like the block bet by Coleman here with the 6. He just hates you fold.
He does.
He's just like
a 6.
He got a 6. There you go. Good read. And now the call. That's mettere le mani avanti for you right there. That's what I said before. He's like, yeah, you got a 6, but look, I'm gonna call anyways. I'm gonna look silly, but I don't care.
Such a 6. Might have the same hand.
Yeah.
There you go.
See? Mettere le mani avanti.
Yeah. Cool down, I still
It's the good old call and muck. It's like all one motion. Throw the chip, throw the card in the muck. You already know.
It's true. Just confirming your own beliefs.
Yeah.
And it's funny. It's such a small pot, only 10,000, but well, for Coleman, it feels very good. And for Feldman, you know, he's going to beat himself up about that more than spewing off 90,000.
I think so. I think so.
Tretyakov, with about 150,000 gap between him and number 2, should he be saying to himself, look, as soon as those blinds go 5 and 10,000, I've got to just start raising and re-raising?
I think he shouldn't be taking a lot of big risks. Just open a lot more. He's not opening that much. He's squeezing a lot and free betting a lot. And most of the time with legitimate hands, but he's not stealing much. We'll see if that changes later on.
Feldman, after his... He's really opening any time it's folded to him.
Yeah,
Andrew
he
Feldman,
is.
right?
He is.
And is there merit to that?
I still think it's a little early for that, actually. But yeah, there is a merit. I mean, you keep people guessing, and they might pay you off in later situations where it's much bigger. Now, just a flat call from the ace queen. That's interesting, out of position. Oh, and Mathew, Frankland, finally, a big hand for him.
Well, this is going to be very difficult for Coleman. I mean, in my mind, when Frankland, and he has, does he have to re-raise here?
He's going to do it big, yes, he does.
We saw earlier, like, Gomila wanting to flat with the ace-king, and even Frankland.
No.
Not here, why?
You're going broke with this, first of all, and it's going to look like a squeeze.
You're going broke with this hand?
I think so. 30 big blinds, yes. I'm going broke with it. 40 big blinds.
$125,000.
I know. But you gotta gamble at some point.
But Erich Coleman is in a very tough spot because this does
look like a squeeze. I really like. See, I said like if he makes it big, it's gonna be tough for Coleman. Now, if he ticks, if he feels like you know, Frankland is just frustrated. There's a lot of stuff going in their minds, like, okay, so Andrew Feldman is opening. What's new here? And Coleman is flatting. What's new here? Now Frankland is squeezing, and Coleman is thinking, okay, so he's a capable player. You know, he really might have all those dynamics in hand. I might have the big hand. I mean, I'm not saying, I don't think Coleman is the kind of player that will go nuts here, but I wouldn't be completely surprised if he puts him all in right here.
There's a lot of money in there. I mean, could you make an argument that any play but all in here is wrong?
You could. Yeah, it's definitely a...
Or is that...
It's such a tough spot. I mean, I know I reshove that a lot. I know if I'm in that spot, ace queen, I reshove. I'm not sure it's entirely correct. It just...
Raise.
Yeah, there you go. And the snap shove. See, of course he's going broke with the ace king there. It really doesn't look like he's supposed to have a big hand.
But Frankland has gone all in and got called.
Yeah.
And Frankland knows he's up against small pairs a lot here. So this is... His heart's going to thump, thump, thump.
Yes, yes. He thinks he's racing here like 7s or 8s or something like that, and he's going to be delighted to see the ace queen.
Wow. Well,
and nice spot here.
Coleman's giving himself a chance to pass here, and tell me, there's different dynamics because of the format.
Yes, there is, and that's what happens when you just see. Now, if it's level 1, this is easy stuff. When the blinds are 3 and 6, to flat call the ace queen out of position with an aggressive player on your button, you want to define the hand. You know, invest your 35, your 38K, and see where you're at.
So this would have been made much easier if Coleman had just 3-bet from the small blind.
I think so.
And then he could have folded to the 4-bet. Now he's got problems.
I mean, he makes it 35, and then Frankland shoves behind, and then it's a pretty easy fold. I can't blame him for reshoving the ace queen there. It really looks like Frankland is squeezed.
Well, I think Coleman, after counting it all down, decided that he's still going to have chips left. So let's see what happens.
Big pot here.
This is it.
Yeah, that's pretty much for this tournament.
I mean, Mathew Frankland, a huge favorite, but all in. And right now, looking like anything but the queen. And he is in prime position.
I was thinking about taking this pot anyway.
Coleman will still be in.
Yep.
But short.
Yep. Nice hand for Frankland. He picked up the right hand in the right position. Pieces of the puzzle getting back together for Frankland.
Look at that smile.
Yeah.
Should have said something to him.
That is a good hold. Although, when you think about it, smile now, Mathew Frankland. You're going to need several more of those to get to the main Premier
It just started, kid.
Definitely, I would have said.
I think both of us agree that he's been the most interesting player, if not the best player at the table so far. And what he's thinking now with 500K is all the room he has to maneuver. He's got the moves, so I mean, I'm happy to see him in action and with room to maneuver properly.
Still 6 players left, but only 3 spots open at the final table. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. We're still 6-handed here for Heat A of the first global qualifier. Now let's get the cards back in the air.
Chips have spread, but we're still 6-handed. This is the man, Mathew Frankland, who has the most of them. Big double up against Erich Coleman, and that set the stage for really stage 2 of this global qualifier heat. Does Frankland right now, Giovanni Rizo, does he try and get himself $1 million in chips before anybody else breathes?
Yes, Jesse, we never must forget that the blinds are high, and they will be higher and higher. We're talking 5-10 now, then 7-15, then 10-20. So right now, the chip leaders got only 45 blinds. So, I mean, it's going to start to be, rough, and there's going to be small edges to exploit and big bluffs. It's going to be exciting.
Hit 3, raise, 21.
Erich Coleman there, 73,000. If you told him that he can go through to the final table with 73,000, he'd be happy to do that because, they're going to roll the blinds back. You still got a chance to come back. So survival's also key.
It's a strange combination of things. I mean, it's not over till it's over. One chip, one chair. I mean, I can throw you all the poker cliches that you want, you know, right there. But in the end, 12 players, all season professional or very, very skilled qualifiers, and just one will take home the money. And look at this, Andrew Feldman with queens. He's gonna love it. Tretyakov, he's got a real hand here. I mean, ace-jack is kind of marginal in general, but look at the blinds, look at the structure, and look at the fact that it is Andrew Feldman.
Wow,
and now it's tricky. Now I'm surprised here.
Now, what are the merits and disadvantages to his play?
Honestly, I'm a little bit shocked here because with the image that somebody like him has, you know, queens is almost always the nuts, and people are gonna be willing to give you action. So if you're re-raising and then opening light and all that kind of stuff, you want to do that because when you have, you know, those top 5 hands, you're gonna get paid. So I'm a little surprised here, but yeah, it's gonna be deceptive. Although on a flop like this, he's not gonna get much action from the ace-jack of Tretyakov, I think.
And even at this stage, on this flop, you know, Feldman has kind of narrowed himself into a corner where maximum value is only going to be extracted by check calling and let the other guy bluff.
I agree with you. If the chips go in the middle, all of them right now, unless you're so lucky that your opponent has jacks or tens almost precisely, every other time he's going to be killing you, you know. So yes, it is going to be a check call, and on some cards it's going to be kind of a guessing game. Now his hand is definitely underrepresented, so I see the reasons for a raise here. Though again, I mean, who's really gonna give you action here?
This is a decision, a quality of decision we haven't seen Tretyakov face yet. Being check raised on the flop. He's been a guy who seems most comfortable playing pre-flop. Perhaps that's why Feldman did decide to call. If you think about it now, you could just see on Tretyakov, he doesn't look like a guy who's that comfortable post-flop. Not like Andrew Feldman is. He's a high-stakes cash player. He loves post-flop. If he decides to lose his lunch right now, I mean, can Feldman call another re-raise? I mean, Feldman's got to be scared even right now, doesn't he, or not? I mean, what are your Feldman? What? He's got a big gulp there.
Yeah, that's why I don't like the check raise much. Oh, wow. And Tretyakov hit the gin card on the turn. He's not supposed to have that ace right there. So now Feldman is checking for 2 reasons. One is for pot control, of course. I don't think he's scared about the ace that much. I like the check behind here from Tretyakov and a perfect river card. I think there's going to be, it's a huge pot, 160K. I mean, it could be like maybe a blocking bet by Feldman now, something in the range of like 55,000. You know, you kind of block bet the ace and get paid maybe by tens or jacks or something like that. Even the random ace, you know, 8, 9, 6, 7 might be bluff catching here. Could look like a misdraw.
So 2 bets.
It looks like a pretty big bet. I think it's over 70,000. 68,000.
Yeah. It's half the pot, so it's kind of a value bet, kind of a stop bet. I like it. I mean, Tretyakov should not have an ace there. And once he checks back on that turn.
This is going to be painful and crippling for Andrew Feldman. He doesn't want to turn his hand over, and he doesn't like what he sees.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, starting to losing it now. This was ridiculous, he's saying. It was a weird flat by the ace-jack there. Kind of a float, but a strange one. The board is really connected, so I mean, Feldman, when he's raising there, he should not have queens. He should have either a really big made hand, like a set, top 2 pair, even the straight, 5-6 definitely in there, or complete air. So I see some merits to the flat, but not very much.
Chip later, and in the words of Tony G, bring on more Russians. 2 players pulling away from the others, but it is 3 that go through. And is it as simple as, you know, the other 4 playing now for 1 spot? I don't think so.
No, not yet, not yet. I think 73,000 is a little low to come back from. You never know, I mean. Safina came back from 4 big blinds to win it all, so anything can happen. But mostly there's like, I think Tretyakov is pretty much settled in that situation. He's not shying away from competition, but 600K right now, it's a pretty comfortable stack to get to the final. And
it's an average stack for the final table.
Yeah.
Remember how this format goes. There's 2 of these qualifying heats for this global qualifier. The 6 will play down to 3, who carry their chips forward and combine for one final table, which will be winner take all for a seat in the Premier League. And that is the first button that Andrew Feldman has passed. One of his better hands, really, 7-9 suited.
well, at this point, he's in the push or fold kind of stack, you know, 15 big blinds, so he knows he cannot profitably open the 7-9 there. So, I mean, it's a good fold.
Still shaking his head, and I'm sure what he's saying to himself is, why couldn't it have been a jack on the turn?
Yes,
a jack on the turn, I go for broke. Tretyakov, small blind, big blind, and you know, with the ace, I mean, my guess is you just set Erich Coleman all in.
Absolutely, yes.
C3 raise 75. Ready? Sit 4, all in 73.
And Coleman's made the quick call now.
That's pretty standard. I mean, probably Tretyakov with his stack, he's not shoving any shoe cards, but I mean a really wide range, and Queen 10 is definitely above the, you know, computer hand is Queen 7, so Queen 10 we stick in our 6-7 big blinds, no problem.
73,000, yeah.
All in and behind for Erich Coleman. This is his Premier League.
Yeah, it's a flip. He's not in bad shape. A little advantage to the ace-5, but 55-45.
146,000 would really get him right back in it, but he has to make the Queen 10 pay, and that's a great start.
That is a great start. 10 in the window. That's nice. Only the ace so far, or some strange runner-runners. That's one piece of a runner-runner.
Ace now no good for Tretyakov. He needs the queen. Does not get it.
Double up. And I mean, like I said, what happens in the first 3 level doesn't matter that much at this point of the game, because look at this. Now, one more double up, he's back in contention. Now, the structure is really fast, and we never must forget that.
That's a smile. There's nothing like being in the middle when you've been on the bottom. It's a better place to be.
So savvy, Jesse.
I was thinking about kings. With king.
Couple players under 20 big blinds. That's Coleman and Andrew Feldman. Gomila and Bodo have just slightly more.
Feldman. Sit 4 folds.
You do get, I mean, now Coleman, we know how experienced he is in multi-table tournaments, live tournaments, cash games. He's also quite a renowned Omaha cash player. But my guess is he has not grinded 6 million sit and goes.
For sure.
I mean,
for sure. It's just a different game. I mean, this doesn't say anything about the quality of a player. Like, everybody has their own specialty. Somebody plays a cash game, somebody plays tournament. It's just
poker's about specialties, man. About being a specialist.
I agree. I agree. I mean, I'm a mixed game player myself. That's what I play 80% of the time. I grind online tournaments too, and live tournaments now, thanks to the sponsor and everything. But you know, you got to do something precisely right, and have a side to that too, just, you know, to change it. So
this is an example of the marginal decisions you get. I mean, if Bodo has 15 big blinds, it would be about 150,000.
He's shoving 100%, yeah.
And maybe even up to 20. But with 26,
it's sick.
You can't shove and get called by a worse hand.
It's sick, yeah.
So what do? Do you make a small re-raise?
No, because then you're committing yourself to the pot pretty much, you know. You could make it like 65 to fold, but again, kind of sick.
And so he's just flatted here, Bodo,
Yeah.
in position.
I don't mind that at all.
Check.
And I think maybe a check here by Bodo. He's underrepresented his hand. Ace high is good a lot of the time, but you don't want to risk getting check raised or floated or, yeah, check is.
But it opens yourself up to the turn bet.
Why, that's
Now
a nice turn for Bodo.
It's the crown jewels, isn't it?
Yes, yes. Now he's going to get you streets of value easy. Should be like 35 here and then maybe another 60 on the river. 30 maybe.
He pretty much has to bet here, Bodo. The question is, what does Frankland do? Does Frankland call or does
It's a
Frankland
check
raise?
call at this point, yes.
Bet 22,000.
23, I like the sizing here. 22, very small. I like it.
Sit 5, call.
You know, it's good because you're still puck controlling, and at the same time you get called by a lot of stuff. Oh wow, that's sick.
That is sick.
That's so sick.
And for Bodo, that's going to be a watery rope.
And you know what? Bodo is that good. It's the jack of clubs. A lot of stuff, you know, just hit. The 8-9 hit, the clubs hit. Some random king jack, ace jack, they just hit. You know, he might be that good and just not. It would be sick, but he might not bet this river.
I don't know, it feels a little bit like if you don't make a bet here, you're guilty of not extracting value when you have to. You can't make that mistake.
Yeah.
Sit 6, bet 33,000.
It's just sick.
Sit 5, call.
Bodo does not like the call. And it looked like it was set up perfect for Bodo. Everything gone on, but right now, Frankland, just his day.
It's gonna be very interesting to see the next level, because I mean, the 715, it's really the level that changes thing, because then everybody's sitting between 10 and 30 bigs, and then we see the action, a lot of action.
Fold. Sit 5, fold.
Bodo. 17 big blinds on the button. What's your?
Yeah, I think it's a fold.
But is it so where you can open hands and?
I do that sometimes. It's pretty sick, but but I'm not really a sit and go player, so I know it's wrong to do so. With those blinds, I mean, I might, but I mean, is Feldman there, the big blind? Yeah, I think that comes into mind, you know.
You know, Gomila's been quite quiet lately. The other thing about him is that he's also been quite card dead, hasn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, this is the first aggressive action he's taken for a while. But Feldman will also know it's almost the first chance he's had of opening a pot.
Sit 2, calls.
And Feldman calls in position with the king-8 of diamonds. That's also kind of strange. I think that's a shove.
Absolutely. You've got a lot of fold equity there, and your hand has value.
Especially with a guy like Gomila, where you know he doesn't seem to be taking a lot of risk, kind of on the tighter side.
4,000.
Well, Feldman decided to make his shove on the flop. He's picked up the flush draw, and in his mind, he can probably only get called by an ace.
Yeah.
And if he gets called by an ace, he's still got equity.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. It's kind of a strange flat, but it works for him.
These wrinkles, that's what makes the laundry. One of the interesting things about Gomila right now, he's got less chips than he started with. However, he's also in 3rd position, which, let's face it, 3rd position, that's the golden spot. That's the bubble spot. 3rd position goes through right now, 242,000, and you can't give up 3rd position without a fight, right?
Absolutely not.
You know, I mean, let 1st and 2nd take out 6th, 5th, and 4th.
In an ideal world, that's what will happen. The reality of things is, there's gonna be a double up pretty soon of one of the short stacks and some bust outs, and then it's gonna get messy. Because right now, it's pretty stuck. You know, the free short stack are really short, and they gotta wait. the big stacks don't see any reason to risk too much, so it's kind of a stall phase. We need to see a player out to see some action.
Or the blinds to go up, which is going to happen very soon. 5 and 10,000 blinds will become 7 and 15.
Blinds up, though, might stout even more the situation in a way. Because you might see, like, the medium stacks kind of waiting it out at that point.
23 bigs from Gomila, all in, big blind against the button. He's right to do it. I'm sure he had to swallow twice, because when you get called there, you're not loving it.
Absolutely not, but Gomila found his voice, I think. He's starting to feel a little more comfortable in what he's doing.
And the blinds are going to 7 and 15,000 right now. I mean, Gomila's actually got to be feeling pretty good about himself.
Absolutely.
You know, he hasn't exactly had that many things go right after hand number 1.
Absolutely right.
He may be, would you say, the least spewy and perhaps the biggest favorite to come in third?
Probably.
Blind 7 and 15,000. Is it Act 3 yet, or does Act 3 not come until we actually hit that 4-person bubble?
Yeah, I think we gotta wait for the 4-person. This doesn't change much. 9 bigs doesn't differ much from having 12 or 13 big blinds. The ranges are pretty much the same, almost the same.
I got 125.
A guy like Coleman, he has to open, shove, or fold.
Yes.
Are you? And where would you lean right now with his hand?
I'm shoving.
Leave it for me and Bodo.
Really?
Yeah, it's under the gun +1, I know, but you know he's gonna pay the blinds next to hand. You know that you gotta always take that into consideration. You're gonna pay 22,000 and the next 2 hand, and then almost no fold equity.
Don't look, Bodo. Just go all in. Shove, blind. Come on.
That's definitely a fold by Bodo.
Feldman trying to will them in.
This is a shove.
I got a sweat at least.
Now, what is Andrew Feldman calling with?
Good kings, any ace, any pair. Maybe even some broadways like Queen Jack. He's got a decision. Oh, that's a snap call. Really?
It's that one as well, I guess. I don't know, I can fold this.
Well, he's only got. He's only got 100,000 back. That's like. I think it's like 6 big blinds, 7 big blinds.
Not even, it's not even close. There's no decision here. Those are automatic shove and call.
Oh, both players, in your mind, doing exactly what they had to do. The situation, of course,
good. That's all I can do.
Big for both. For Feldman, he has to have these hold or else he's out. For Gomila,
ace from space.
This might be final for Gomila if he hits.
Yeah, wow. Be huge to double up. I mean, to take Feldman's
And
chips
there it
here.
is. King right in the window. Nice flop also. Spade draw for him. So now kills some of Feldman's outs.
This could be all for Andrew Feldman. It's certainly dire.
That's it. That's it. Flush for Gomila, and Feldman goes out in 6th position.
That's plenty.
We can't say he didn't try.
He was a massive factor. But from hand number 1, Andrew Feldman saying he's here to play. He was. And a couple of bad situations have seen him knocked out. 6th.
Yeah, it's such a good spot for you to raise though, because like I'm completely capped.
Big smile from Gomila and the little wink. Listen, 5 players for 3 positions, but those 3 positions look pretty rock solid.
Yeah. With if you combine the stacks and the fact that Gomila is really solid and Frankland knows what he's doing, definitely, and Tretyakov has been catching card and he's got the red sweater going on for him. I mean, I see these 3 pretty solid, but anything can happen. I mean, blinds are high.
First out of our first heat for the global qualifier is Andrew. Unfortunately, we lose you. It was a really tough day for you today, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, ever since from the first hand, bluffing off 25% of my stack with no outs is never good. But to my credit, I recovered pretty well, and I got my stack up above average after the first 3 levels. And then unfortunately, the first hand after the break, I'm still mystified how the guy Dmitry on my left calls a check raise with just ace high, and he checks back when he hits, and I obviously feel I have the best hand. I value bet, and he decides to tank call which just totally baffles me, because if you're calling with ace high on the flop because you think you have the best hand, you hit an ace, then what more do you want?
You're not a big fan of his play then?
Oh, no. I mean, I don't like to criticize players, but that was a pretty, I mean, I never won a hand against him. He was very aggressive pre-floppy. I mean, his pre-flop game was pretty strong, but that was a very poorly played hand, and unfortunately I was on the receiving end of it. But, you know, I'll be back, so I'm
sure you will. Yeah. We've seen you a lot here on the Premier League. We look forward to seeing you again.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. I very much look forward to any more future events.
There is an interesting dynamic that comes up right now for me, Giovanni, and to me it feels like if you're Gomila, every time he puts a chip in the pot, Frankland or Tretyakov can just raise him at will. There's too much to lose for Gomila. He can only call with the absolute nuts if he gets re-raised.
I wonder if they're aware of that, and it's a really good analysis, because Gomila is the kind of player that can be bullied by the bigger stacks. I think he's good at picking spots and has a really good understanding of ranges against the short stacks, but he doesn't seem to fight back much when the bigger stacks attack. So,
you know, and for me, it has to be, I mean, I'm thinking it's an instant fold for Gomila, because he can't play a pot. He can't, unless he makes the nuts by the river, he can't call off his chips.
Yeah.
Franklin just goes bet, 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 no matter what he has. Am I right?
I think so. I think so. And yeah, it is a fold.
Franklin knows to turn up the pressure.
Is it 15?
15, yeah. 15.
And for Coleman, who's got 100.
Oh, wow.
Well, I'll tell you what, this is going to change things completely.
Wow.
If Coleman doubles through here, and there'd be every indication, because Franklin has to call, doesn't he?
Yeah, yeah. That's,
if Coleman shoves.
He's opening to call, obviously, on the short stack, and that's a snap.
If the kings hold, and Coleman doubles up, that does sound like a twofer, but it is going to, I'll tell you one guy who it's going to upset is Gomila.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
This is going to make things open wider than the barn door. Coleman's all in.
Oh!
How much does that
Oh,
How
that's
much?
painful.
Wow.
Wow.
Wow. And
now at 10.
yeah, it has to be a three outs now instead of two. But
King no good.
oh. And Coleman, the look on his face when that ace came, that was losing every bit of $125,000. That was the lottery ticket with 5 out of 6 numbers in. And that's the man who hit the 6th.
Look, I commentated a lot of the tables in Italy. Every time I see that happen, I am a player. It still like hurts, like a big stomach punch. It's just, it's painful.
We've lost Erich here as the second player off of our table. Tough table draw maybe as well. Talk to me about your experience here.
Yeah, it was hard to play. Every player was a really good player, and I know Andrew, I know Bodo. So it's a table like a final table. So, but that's a Premier League, and that's okay. And at the end, a little bit unlucky with kings against ace 10. But sometimes it's really hard to love poker.
Just 4 players left. This is it, the official bubble, and Bodo's on it, Giovanni.
Yeah, unfortunately for my friend Bodo, this is going to be really, really tough. I mean, there's a chance, but it's so slight. Gomila is solid. Tretyakov is, you know, he pushes a lot, so he won't walk him. And Mathew Frankland, definitely big chip leader. It's going to be close to impossible for Bodo. Nothing is impossible, but really, really hard.
Oh, and Franklin, well, he had a lot of reasons to fold, but none with the 2 kings.
This might be over.
Bodo says the aces are hot, baby.
Can I already collect?
Can I already
we'll give it
collect?
a try.
We could be overs.
We could be.
Ace of hearts? Or which one? Probably the wheel, I reckon. That's a dirty way to go.
Not so far.
Kind of feel like aces have been all over this board today. That's what Bodo's saying.
That would be dirty.
But it is only the ace now, where we have our final 3.
That's it. That's it for Bodo. That's
Cheers.
That's the bubble, Jesse.
That's the bubble, and Bodo Sbrzesny played a good game. This not to be his Premier League neither.
Good luck, guys.
But for Mathew Frankland,
what a run.
Yeah, and nominal chip leader right now for that final table on the chance at the $125,000 Premier League poker seat. Have a look at the chips. These three will be taking to the final table, each happy for their own situation. Frankland, $887,000. Nominal chip leader right now. Tretyakov with $519, and Gomila just happy to be there on nearly $400K.
So, Matt, you're going through to the final with over-average chips. You must be pretty happy about your standings.
Yep, can't complain with that start.
Will you be watching the next heat to see who might go through?
No, I'm going to go and play online now and hopefully not have some sleep before the next part. But
well, I think that's what they call being a sicko. You're a degen then.
yeah, pretty much.
How do you feel about the chips that you're taking through to the final?
Okay, I want to have more chips, but that are the chips that I have now, and I try to get winner. It's winner takes all. That's why we try to destroy the table. It doesn't matter the chips that I have now.
So 3 players move through to our first global qualifier final. Next time we find out who will join them as the second global qualifier gets underway here in Vienna.
I couldn't fold even for a smile.
King of Diamonds is one of my favorite cards in the deck.
I definitely want you to qualify.
Oh.
Oh. Trust me, if I'd hit, I would have hit really, really, really big.
That's too small, I guess. 14. Oh, 10. 10 it's okay.
What am I going to do with this?